Welcome back for another thrilling episode of the Movie NP, the vlog where I review a movie and then discuss the life hacks and life improvement tips that we can derive from the film. This film I'm going to do tonight, I'm very excited about. I thought it was a phenomenal film. Initially, I thought, maybe not so much, but getting into it, I was very, very happy with how the movie played out and the message that it gives. So the movie we're going to review tonight is going to be K-Pop Demon Hunters. It is rated PG. It is from Netflix and Sony Pictures. It's 1 hour and 34 minutes long. Carries an Internet Movie Database rating of 7.6 out of 10 and a Rotten Tomatoes rating of 95%. It is directed by Chris Applehands and Maggie Kang. It is written by Danya Jimenez, Hannah McMecken, and Maggie Kang. It stars Arden Cho, Mei Hong, and Ji Young Yo. So quick synopsis is that demons have been stealing human souls for centuries. Sometime long ago, a girl band got together and found out that their songs built a net or a barrier that prevented the demons from coming from their world to our world to steal our souls. Their songs strengthen and they keep its force field active. There have been several generations of demon hunters / girl bands, but the most current and in present time is one called Huntrix, starring Rumi, Mira, and Zoe. Gwai Ma is the demon king, and its barrier is called the Han Moon. So Huntrix's main goal is to strengthen and support its Han Moon through their songs. Apparently somewhere along the way, if they build a big enough fan base and sing a beautiful enough song, this Han Moon will become golden and a permanent structure that will forever keep the demons in their world and prevent them from stealing human souls. So spoiler alert, we'll go over the scenes in the film and how this plays out. So we start out with a current day Rammy, Mira, and Zoe, and they are just completing a world tour. And of course, on their plane, they are attacked by some demons. They successfully beat these demons and arrive at their world tour just on time, where they rock the house, end up having a successful night. But not too long within the film, we find out that Rammy holds a very dark secret, for Rammy is half demon. Apparently, her mother had a relationship with a demon, and this causes Rammy to be half demon. To indicate this, she has a purple-like pattern on her body that she keeps covered up. Unfortunately, no one knows this but her and her mentor. The other members of the band do not know this, nor do any of the fans. Not long after this, we discover that the patterns on Rammy's skin, which indicate that she's a demon, are spreading and becoming more visible. This freaks her out, and instead of taking the break as they had hoped to do, Rammy pushes forward to release their next hit song with the hope that she can quickly create the golden Han Moon and stop her transformation or reverse her transformation. So Rammy rushes to get their new single Golden out in an attempt to create the golden Han Moon and strengthen its barrier. Unfortunately for Rammy, the demonic symbols on her skin become more prominent, and during a live performance premiere of the song, her voice breaks, and this freaks her out, embarrasses her, and she runs away. Meanwhile, in the demon world, Gwai Ma is losing power and weakening, largely because of the success of the Huntrix at pushing back the demons and strengthening the Han Moon. He fears that if they are successful with creating this golden Han Moon, he will perish. Enter a young demonic being called Jinyu, who decides that he has a plan, and his plan is to start a demonic boy band called the Saja Boys. The Saja Boys' intent will be to fight back against Huntrix and steal their fan base. By stealing their fan base, he hopes to weaken their songs and weaken the Hanmoon. Of course, Rammy running away has caused concern in the group, and Mira and Zoe attempt to assist her, but they quickly begin to believe that she is hiding a secret that she will not tell them. Of course, you and I know that the secret is that she is part demon. Of course, by being half demon and keeping this deep, dark secret for so long, she is experiencing shame, guilt, and extreme fear that she's going to be exposed. And because of Rammy's fear of exposure and not wishing to tell the other group members, this of course pushes them away and alienates them. So enter now the Saja Boys, who quickly gain popularity and begin stealing away Huntrix fans. This conflict in the Huntrix pushes each other away, making it much harder and harder for Huntrix to fight back. In addition, Rammy's voice becomes even more unreliable, which pushes her even further into despair. So this division of the group leads to a weakening of the Hanmoon, and demons are more able to cross over and begin easily stealing human souls. To make matters worse, Rammy's guilt and shame further weaken her voice and making it more difficult for them to fight back against the demons. As a side plot, Jinoo begins to contact Rammy secretly, and when they meet, a budding romance begins. As a last-ditch effort to fight against the demons and strengthen the Hanmoon, Huntrix writes a song called The Takedown. However, Takedown is not written out of love. It is written out of hatred for the demons and the desire to take them down. Many of the lyrics talk about lies, them spreading lies, that they're ugly. It talks about their patterns starting to show. It talks about the hatred towards them. And if you look at the lyrics, many of this, unfortunately, is paralleling Rammy's story. So, of course, what occurs is rather than this song actually fighting off the demons and helping Huntrix, what happens is the demons use the song against them. So at this point, the Saja Boys have nearly stolen all of Huntrix fans. They've also stolen their friend and manager, and they're putting on a big concert as part of a contest to see which band is the best. During this concert, Rammy begins to sing Golden, but partially way through, Takedown is queued up, and again, this is used against them, further weakening. So at this concert, the Saja Boys are gaining success and popularity. So in an attempt to combat the Saja Boys, Rammy shows up, in essence, outs herself. She begins to sing a song about truth, acceptance, shame, and integrity. Just as you think all is lost, Mira and Zoe show up and begin singing to help support Rammy. This, of course, begins to beat back the demons. As Huntrix comes back together, their unity and combined song begins to fight back the demons. This, of course, infuriates Guayma, who shows up center stage and begins to attack Rammy. Just as Rammy is about to collapse under Guayma's attack, an unexpected event occurs. Jinoo steps in and sacrifices himself to save Rammy. By doing so, not only does this save her soul, but also strengthens the Hanmoon, and the Hanmoon converts to gold. Rammy's skin clears and the demonic marks fade. The golden Hanmoon defeats the demons and prevents their attempt to take over the world. Rumi, Mira, and Zoe reunite, and they go forward with a renewed trust in each other. So I really love this film. The music is great. The cinematography is fantastic. The storyline is great. The symbolism behind it all is phenomenal. The core messages of this film are about identity, vulnerability, shame, and speaking one's truth. It illustrates the power of art, music, ritual, and symbolism. It also speaks to the dangers and as the cost of fame and of pretending to be something that you're not. I also feel that there is ample opportunity here for a prequel. What happened between Rami's mom and her demonic father. I think that there's also opportunity here for spin-offs, for sequels. And again, the music was phenomenal. The soundtrack is available almost everywhere, including Amazon, YouTube Music, etc. It's also getting ample airtime on the radio. So here's some trivia about the film as per the Internet Movie Database. So this is the first Netflix film to open #1 at the box office and has grossed $18 million. In addition to that, it is the most watched film on Netflix of all time. The soundtrack has 4 songs in the top 10 simultaneously, surpassing Saturday Night Fever and Waiting to Exhale. Han Moon, the name of the barrier, translates into soul door. Also, there is deeper meaning to the band's name, Saja Boys. Apparently in Korea, Saja can mean lion. But more specifically, in Korean folklore, there's a term called Jeosung Saja, which are Grim Reaper-like characters that carry souls to the afterlife. As we know, the Demon King's name is Gwai Ma. Gwai Ma in Korean apparently means demon. In the film, there are 2 unique characters, a Maltese tiger and a magpie. They are easily able to travel between both worlds, the demon world and the human world, not because they're demons, but because they are supernatural characters as per the Korean culture. So now let's get into what I really like to talk about, the life hacks and what we can derive from the film to better our lives. Life hack #1 is have the strength to own your identity, no matter what other people think. I have a quote here by Harvey Feinstein that states, "Never be bullied into silence. Never allow yourself to be made a victim. Accept no one's definition of your life, but define yourself." One of the things I like about this is I am a huge fan of Carl Jung. He was a contemporary or colleague of Sigmund Freud. Now, Sigmund Freud may be the father of psychiatry, but Carl Jung really picked up the ball and ran with it. I really don't think that they teach enough about Carl Jung in school. All you ever hear about is Freud. Whereas Freud may have started the movement, I feel Carl Jung had perfected it. Kind of like White Castle started the fast food movement, McDonald's perfected it. One of the main things that Carl Jung talks about is shadow work. This is the idea that you need to get comfortable and familiar with the darker side of your personality. Unfortunately, for some folks, due to culture, due to upbringing, due to social norms, due to religions, instead of facing these darker aspects of ourselves, we just push them down and push them down further below. Unfortunately, we know by pushing down our emotions, eventually what happens is they explode. And if you're pushing down a bunch of dark, negative stuff, well, that explosion is not going to be good for anyone. So what Carl Jung preaches is that we must get familiar and knowledgeable about this dark side of our personality, and we must work to integrate the two. This is called shadow work. So what exactly is the shadow? Carl Jung says that the shadow is the unconscious part of ourselves, the traits, emotions, impulses, or desires we deny, repress, or disown because they conflict with how we want to see ourselves or how we believe others expect to see us. Shadow work is the process of bringing this hidden part of ourselves to light so that we can work with it, understand it, accept it, and integrate it into our lives. If we take the time to do the shadow work and integrate the shadow, then this leads to authenticity, emotional maturity, and inner balance. Here's a quote by Jung himself. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. I believe this to be very, very true. If you'd like me to go into greater detail about how to do shadow work, please let me know. I think it's a little too much to go over here and now, but it is very in-depth. It is very interesting. There's a lot of resources out there on it. There are specialists or therapists that do this sort of work, and I would recommend that you seek one of those out if you're interested. Life hack number 2 is vulnerability can be strengthening. As per Brené Brown, vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. This goes back to the old adage or theory that you can only make progress, you can only make breakthroughs if you step out of your comfort zone. For growth, we must step into that unknown. We must step into that area we were uncomfortable. Let's say, for example, you don't like large crowds. The best way to get over a large crowd, or the fear of being in large crowds, is to put yourself in large crowds. Put yourself in those situations. Now, I'm not saying that you want to run out and do that immediately. And if you are interested in doing something like that, I would suggest that you find yourself a good therapist that can support you and walk you through that process. There's a whole branch of therapy out there called exposure therapy that does just this. Life hack number 3 is collaboration builds strength. Here's a quote by Henry Ford. Coming together is the beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success. Look, this is another common thread that seems to run through many of success books, success tips, and many stories is we can't do things alone. We have to have a team. We have to socially connect with each other. We have to network. Like I've mentioned in previous videos, the best jobs I've had in my life have always been found through a friend or someone I knew. Life hack number 4 is don't let external pressures dictate your actions. Here's a great quote by Epictetus. We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. I've spoken about this as well before. We do not want to give our power to others. If we allow others to pull our chains, to react to what they do, we give them power over us. It also speaks toward the philosophy that happiness is a choice. We can either choose to be happy, we can either choose to be satisfied, or we can choose to be sad and miserable. One way or another, most things in life are a choice. I remember in The Karate Kid, Mr. Miyagi had some type of saying about karate do, karate don't do, that's fine, but karate maybe, and squish like a grape. Point here is we have choices in our life. We can either act or we can ignore it, but even ignoring it is a choice. Life hack number 5 is sacrifice for others can be transformative. Here's a quote by Ethel Percy Andrus that states, "It is only in the giving of oneself to others that we truly live." I think there's a lot of truth behind this. If you look at a lot of religion, there's this idea of sacrifice and enlightenment through sacrifice. If you look at even Christmas, the idea that we are giving of ourselves, we're giving presents to others. In some way, that's a sacrifice. I mean, you look at Christmas, giving presents to others, that makes us feel good. In some ways, that's in and of itself a sacrifice. There's a lot of psychology behind giving to charity. Giving to charity is shown to decrease stress, decrease blood pressure, increase happiness, increase self-worth, well-being. There are tons of benefits. Giving of yourself also often leads to a sense of purpose and greater well-being. Giving to charity also leads to gratitude. Gratitude often leads to increased happiness. And if you believe all of its theory of manifestation, gratitude is often key to manifestation and gaining. And if you believe all this talk about manifestation, gratitude is key to manifestation and to reaching our goals. Life hack number 6 is symbols and rituals carry power. We know this. We know that humans are creatures of habit. We know this. We know that humans are creatures of habit. We realize that rituals are known to reduce anxiety. They create a sense of control and security, also predictability. These are all things that humans like and help humans to thrive. Now, in the extreme, like for example, OCD, we see these rituals played out. For example, now in the extreme, like OCD, we see these rituals play out to reduce that anxiety. At one time, they believed that OCD was like a symptom in and of itself. But what we've learned since is that OCD is more of a symptom of anxiety. We get anxious and we have to do something to relieve that anxiety. Somewhere along the line, that individual's gotten in their head that if they flip that light switch off and on 500 times, that they're going to be safe for the rest of the day, or something bad is not going to happen. So dealing with the anxiety is often what treats OCD. Now, that's an extreme case, of course, but we can use rituals in our own lives. Now, that's an extreme case, of course, but the point here is that humans need rituals. Rituals are a good thing, and we can use rituals to improve our lives. Likewise, symbolism is a big thing. You look around, all we see is symbolism. It's in our advertisement. For example, the McDonald's arches. That's known worldwide. Somebody can look at the McDonald's arches and know exactly that's McDonald's. The Coca-Cola bottle is another symbol known worldwide. Instantaneously, you see that shape and you know it's Coca-Cola. We have other symbols in our culture, symbols such as religious symbols, symbols such as superheroes. One of the symbols that I like is a couple years back, we had a Superman movie and they discussed the S on Superman's chest and how that stood for hope. I thought that was very interesting. We have symbols of the bat for Batman. Oftentimes, the symbol of a bat is the symbol of change. And yet again, there's a lot of psychology behind symbols. In fact, there's a whole science behind symbols and symbolism. Symbols often tap into the unconscious and can bring to mind ideas, events, thoughts, and they can be a powerful tool. Matter of fact, there's a whole branch of magic behind it. It's often called chaos magic that really gets into symbols and how symbols affect us and how we can use symbols to reach our goals. It's all very interesting stuff. Life hack number 7 is don't let fear silence you. There's a great quote by Mark Twain that states, "Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not absence of fear." Consider now how many horrors in this world have occurred because good people have remained silent. On the other side of the coin, now consider the times that good people have spoken up and prevented the horrors or tragedies. And life hack number 8, our final life hack of the day, is balance ambition with self-care. Here's a great quote by Nania Hoffman that states, "Sometimes self-care is exercising and eating right. Sometimes it's spending time with loved ones, whatever soothes your soul." I'll add to that. Sometimes self-care is eating that whole bag of chips. Sometimes self-care is eating that whole carton of ice cream. Just as they say in The Shining, all work and no play make Jack a dull boy. You know, it's very easy to get sidetracked by work. It's very easy to allow ambition to take over. But unfortunately, we sacrifice a lot of good things when we do that. So we have to learn to balance that. I know it's not easy. It's very difficult to do, but make self-care a priority. One of Ali Abdal's tips for time management was to block off your highlight of the day. Your self-care should be one of the highlights of the day. It should be blocked off in your schedule to make sure that you take care of yourself. Because at the end of the day, if you don't take care of yourself, then you're not going to be around to help anyone else. So on a side note, I've always been a fan of anime. When I was a kid, Speed Racer was one of my favorite cartoons, and in my mind, Speed Racer is one of the grandfathers of anime. Also, if anyone is interested in a very creepy piece of anime, there is a special from my childhood called Jack and the Beanstalk. This was produced in 1974 by a director named Gisaburo Suguli. Sorry, I know I hacked that, but you'll find it if you look it up. This was one of the things that was on HBO as I was a kid. I think I mentioned this again in another film. I don't know what the executives from HBO were thinking back in the day, but they would have these cartoons and specials on, and your parents would sit you in front of them thinking, oh, this is a wholesome, family cartoon or whatever. This cartoon traumatized me. It's very bizarre. There's some interesting, weird things. There's a witch in it. So especially since it's Halloween time. So if you want to traumatize your kids, definitely set them down in front of it as well. Well, that's it for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found something meaningful. You learned something that you can use in your life. As usual, if there's anything you'd like me to go in deeper to, or a particular movie that you'd like me to review, please comment below. Otherwise, please like and subscribe. And until next time, stay golden.